Khanna, and I'm a director at Raj Khanna Associates Limited, which is a global premier training provider. Based on our recent presentation on the differences and similarities between Agile, project management, and Scrum Master, one of our viewers asked whether I could do another presentation explaining roles within other methods. Now, some of you are au fait with it, but in case you are confused with the terminology that is used in different methods, we hope you find this presentation useful. So our previous videos, which we've covered, as I said, recently, or weekly sessions on Moscow, roles, as we've said, and difference between incremental, iterative, please visit our website on the page News and Videos, 2018 News and Videos articles. So in any change journey, whether you're delivering a small process change, whether you are enhancing something that's already there, or you're putting in a new system, it's useful to remember this journey because whatever you are delivering, which could be referred to as an output, a solution, or a product, individuals need to be trained on that change. And once that change in implementation, whatever it is you've actually delivered, whatever the output, whatever the solution you have delivered, we then want people to transition from the old way of working to the new way of working. So this is referred to as the output, and the outcome is when we have got people to actually start using it. And as a result of people using this, we deliver some measurable improvements, which are referred to as benefits. So this kind of journey that we talk about, it's important in whatever area of business we are implementing a change. And when that change takes place, we have something called the learning dip, because the staff are getting used to that new system. Now, whenever we deliver this change, it's important that we establish roles and responsibilities right at the very beginning. Because this change is where people are doing something different to their normal day-to-day activities. So if our day-to-day activity was providing some care within a healthcare environment, and today we are doing something different and we are producing that something different, then we take on a delivery role, which is not necessarily our business as usual role. So it's important that those roles are established right at the very beginning. So when we launch these change initiatives, they can either be delivered as part of business as usual. And what we're saying here is, if you are enhancing a procedure that is already being used or some software, you could do it as a team and get people around to deliver that. However, if this initiative involves 2 or 3 business areas, then we would need to manage as a project, because each department has their own section head. In a project, there is only one section head, and therefore it's important we clearly establish who is that individual. And a program is when an initiative is going to target multiple business areas. So just consider the complexity, and as the complexity increases, we then start to deliver that initiative in a different kind of context. For us, it should be exactly the same whatever we're doing, whether it's a project, business as usual, or a program. You still need to have the end goal, which is a vision. You still need to understand the reasons and you still need to understand risks. But the level you go to is dependent on the complexity. Because people say you're getting bureaucratic. It isn't bureaucratic. And all these initiatives that we launch should be based on the organization's strategic objectives, where possible, strategies. If it isn't aligned to it, then the convincing has to be that much more. So that's really what we think about. Can we do this as part of business as usual? How complex it is? Is it a project or is it a program? But also look at the department. And we have created some videos earlier where we go through this in more detail. But for right now, we want to talk about in a very simple case first of all. Any initiative, as we said, that is being managed as a project or a program needs to be approved by people in the organization who have the authority to do so. That may be a department management team, a senior management team, a chief officer group, etc. So when they approve an initiative, one of the first things they should do is to appoint a leader, the overall leader. And not only do they want people to follow them and to create the environment, but also they need to look at value for money. And once that individual is appointed, they need to consider which business areas are going to be affected. And why is that? Because the business areas will need to identify what do they need. What do we really, really want? What is it that the solution needs to deliver for it to be interesting and, in fact, for it to work for us? Is it fit for purpose? That is then given to a developer, and who will develop the required solution and give it back to the business area. And their responsibility would be to test it, make sure it does what we asked it to do, use it most crucially. And then, of course, they realize the benefits. So remember we talked about the outcome, which is transition from the old way of working to the new way of working. That is the responsibility of the business areas. And we talked about the benefits. The benefits, of course, are also the responsibility of the business area. So this is a very high level understanding. So what we're going to do now is to say, if we manage something as a program, then this is what the governance structure should look like. So we have the corporate team who are approving something referred to as the sponsoring group. They then should appoint somebody, we said, who is the overall leader. And in some methods, as you see, they're referred to as the senior responsible owner, and they chair a body called the program board. Now, this is not a talking shop, it's not a steering group, it's not a steering committee. It is actually a decision-making body. And within that program, we may have one or more projects, and they have a project board. Underneath the project board, they will have project managers, as you will see. Now, our recommendation, different methods, as we'll see just now, call them different things. But our recommendation is, in line with the senior responsible owner, we should refer to them as project owners. Similarly, for every project, we need a leader. So where the project is part of a program, the project owner is appointed by the program board, and most specifically, the senior responsible owner. But if a project is standalone, then the project owner will be appointed by the sponsoring group. And that's really the program governance structure. The programs don't themselves deliver the outputs and the solution. It is done by the projects. So what does the program board actually look like? We've already mentioned the senior responsible owner, and we said we need somebody from the business areas who are responsible for transition, and of course they're also responsible for the benefits as shown here. They don't report to They don't have them report to them. They work in partnership, in collaboration with the program manager. And the program manager is there responsible to you for delivering the capability. So that's really what a program board structure will look like. For the project boards, if we go further down, we have something called Prince 2, as some of you might have heard of. And it has a role from the business area called the senior user. It refers to as the overall owner, which we refer to as the project owner, as executive, and those responsible for delivery of the solution are referred to as the senior supplier. So that's the makeup, according to Prince 2, of the project board. And advising the project board are these assurance roles. Project manager, responsible for day-to-day management, who has administrative support, and we have team managers. One of the things we said in our earlier videos, which we have presented webinars on behalf of APMG International, we believe this is a weakness of the method and it's been around for a long time. Prince 2 doesn't say what kind of teams you have. It says the project manager will give out work packages for the team to do something. Whereas if we go to something like Agile, it doesn't have a concept of a project board, but we've put it in here to show you the comparison because it does talk about project level and it talks about decision making. So what is referred to as the executive in Prince 2 is referred to as a business sponsor. The senior users are referred to as the business visionary, and the senior supplier is a technical coordinator responsible for the delivery of the solution. Now, what we say, it's important that whether we use the term business change manager, whether we call them senior user, but whether we call them business visionary, it's important they understand that is their responsibility to specify the requirements or one of their staff, transition and benefits realization. And at the advisory level, we have business advisors advising to the business area and a technical advisor. Now, if you look at it from a further down within Agile, the project manager is putting the requirements to a solution development team. Now, we've already done a previous presentation, so we're not going to go into details as to where the role team leader comes in. But as you see here, there are two solution development teams who are reporting to the project manager, who's reporting to the project board. So if you wanted to, if this is a program, of course you can put the program board at the level here, and underneath it you will set up your different project boards and decide what term you're going to use. And that is the governance at the project level. The team leaders report to the project manager to the project board. That's the escalation. As we said already, if you want to go and watch our previous video, if the change is being managed as business as usual, i.e. we're delivering a new process within the accident and emergency department, we looked at an example, or you are enhancing, we don't need a project board. We don't need a program board. We can simply have our solution development team or the development team itself as referred to in Scrum. And of course, advising them on how these methodologies work and what works in the business. You can either have a role called a DSDM coach or an Agile coach or a Scrum master. So these are the roles that will be present in the organization, hopefully as part of your corporate portfolio management office. So I hope we try to demonstrate to you, if it's a program, what the overall structure would look like, if it's a project, what it would look like, or if the change is business as usual. And ultimately, what is important, and that's a role comparison that we did within the video that we talked about within Agile and Scrum. Ultimately, at an organization level, we need to develop an enterprise or a corporate approach that we say is blended. So we work with several police authorities, we work with healthcare, local government, electricity companies, creating the organizational structure. The terms, do we call them business visionary? Do we call them business change managers? Do we call them Scrum team? Do we call them development team? Do we call them solution development team? So it's important we take these different methodologies and we create the corporate culture. As long as people understand in any change initiative what their roles and responsibilities are, we will make a difference. Because my 20 plus years of experience, one of the major reasons why change initiatives fail is lack of clearly defined roles and responsibilities. So we hope you found it useful, and we'll give you our contact details in case you have some other suggestions. So, in the words of Jacinda Ardern, the New Zealand Prime Minister, we hope you be strong, be safe, and be kind. We'd like to thank you for watching the video, and please provide us with any feedbacks or further videos you might like us to produce. So you can contact me on rk@arcana.co.uk. Please visit our website for any other videos and blogs that we've created. And of course, for APMG International, who are the accrediting body for agile, change management, etc., please contact them.